All right, now we're going to be moving on to the DVD section of this podcast. We're going to move on to the Lego movies. I'm a big connoisseur, like I said, of everything Batman, and I have every last one of the Lego Batman movies on DVD. The ones that go straight to DVD. I'm there the moment they come out. When that store opens, I'm right there picking up those DVDs, and I also do love them. I know some of them, or a majority of them, are geared to like little kids. But dude, they're so funny. You know, they kind of have a throwback uh, comedy vibe to them. You know what I mean? That appeal to like some of us older cats. You know, gonna take it over to Doombot. Did you ever see the Lego movie?
Yes.
How'd you like the Lego movie?
Honestly, it was at first a little slow for me,
Mm-hmm.
but after a while, it really caught on for me. I just like, I don't know, just like the design. I think it was such a clever thing. I mean, I knew eventually they were going to do something like that. I just didn't know how well they were going to do it. And when that movie came out, I loved it. It was awesome.
Wasn't it just like way better than you probably thought it was gonna be?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like when I saw it first, the previous one, I was like, oh, okay, that might be interesting, but this might look like a really cheesy,
Right.
cheaply made movie.
Right.
But instead, it was actually done really quite well. And so when I knew that they were going to start creating these little small mini short films of Batman,
Yeah.
and then obviously now they're making the actual Batman Lego movie.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a win-win.
Yeah, no, now going to the Lego movie itself, what did you think about that section where like they bring him into like that hall where all the different characters are around, and then they introduce Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles and like all these other random characters? What do you think? Does that scene alone? What do you think of that scene alone?
I mean, for me as a kid, growing up watching all these characters at some point.
Right, because that
I
was
mean,
basically our childhood
it was like
in Lego
childhood-
form. Yeah,
in Lego form.
yeah,
Just breathing and talking, and it tugged my heart, and I was just like, you got me.
yeah. How'd you like Batman in that movie? Because in my opinion that was a Batman. If unless you haven't played the Lego Batman games, that's more like his character in the Lego Batman games. But that was the first time we ever saw that dynamic of a Batman character in a film. What'd you think of Batman's character in the movie?
By far the most creepiest Batman of all Batman characters I've seen on the screen,
Right.
big or small.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just got this weird kind of stalker, rapey kind of feel to. I don't know. It's just so like, okay,
Oh my God.
you're the Dark Knight, but it's like I don't want to be in the corner with you. And
Yeah, dude, he's like trying to like pick up chicks and stuff,
Yeah.
and like he's like trying to show off all
Yeah.
the time. Like, look at me, I'm Batman, I'm a badass. Like,
Right.
what?
Right.
Like, it's so weird because he's normally he's like kind of broody. You know what I mean?
It's like for me, it's like watching Bruce Wayne on Viagra wearing the Batman mask. I don't know how to put it better than that. I mean, that's yeah.
Oh my god. So did you see the Lego Batman trailer?
Yes.
What did you think of the trailer? Because I know there was a teaser trailer, then there's a trailer revealed at Comic-Con. What did you think of the trailer so far?
Well, I saw both. Oh my gosh, it just looks hilarious. I'm trying to figure out who's the voice for the Butler.
Oh, I do not remember, but I like his voice.
I like
though.
his voice. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know why, but I mean,
I'm sorry, sir. Like, he
Yeah.
was straight up English.
I just
Yeah.
find like he's gonna be a good role, play a big role in that movie. For some
Dude, I
reason.
don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed this. I know I've caught this from the Lego figures, the toys.
Right.
They revealed, excuse me, some of the sets that are going to be coming out next year when the movie comes out. Joker is going to be totally rocking a lowrider in this movie.
Nice.
That's dope.
Okay.
Like, dude, like, when have we seen a Joker lowrider?
So they're going with the Suicide Squad Joker, basically.
I guess, dude.
Okay,
But
makes
that's pretty awesome. You know what I mean? He comes in like gangster with his sleeves rolled up. He's got a little Harley Quinn and little booty shorts and some rollerblades.
Okay,
You know, and
yeah.
then he's chilling in a lowrider, dude. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty awesome.
I think Ralph Fiennes does Alfred.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Michael Cera. He's doing Robin, which
Yeah.
is like perfect.
Right.
You know, and that dude's probably 37, and he still kind of seems like a kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I'm thinking that's going to be pretty awesome. That whole dynamic, like the suits. I don't know if you noticed all the different suits that they showed in there. Like my favorite one to this day is Mariachi Batman. Dude, that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. actually,
Like,
right?
how are you going to come up with a mariachi Batman, dude?
Of course, tacos, man.
So I'm hoping to come up with a little Lego toy minifigure of Mariachi Batman. I'm just gonna buy that like crazy.
That should be your new mascot.
Right?
Just
Yeah, dude. So like, I don't know. Did you guys? Any of you guys ever play the Lego games? Any of the Lego games?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't played the Batman ones, unfortunately, but I did play the Star Wars one, Indiana Jones.
Now, what'd you think about the? Because for people in the Lego community, a lot of the humor and pretty much set the tone for the movies was originally in the video games. It originally started with the Lego Batman games, with the set the personality. You know what I mean? What did you think of like the personality in the Lego games, like whatnot, especially with the Star Wars and even in Indiana Jones? What do you like the characteristics and whatnot?
Well,
You know, they're a little quirky. You know what I mean?
I mean, at least like the Star Wars ones, there wasn't really any dialogue. It was more of just
It's more like Charlie Chaplin body
Yeah,
movements. You know, like they slip and fall and
right, exactly, and you hear the little squeaky sound.
Right.
You know, if they were talking to some effect. So there wasn't much there. The Indiana Jones, yeah, there was a little bit more voice and nothing I rave home about and say, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that was great acting.
I don't think it was even until like Lego Batman 2 is when they started actually doing complete voice dialogue pieces. Besides because before it was all pantomime type of stuff, you know what I mean? They were like, you know what I mean? That type of stuff. But it's still, what's funny is that it still got the point across, and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean, again, that's the only drawback I would say of any of the Lego games I played was that I was like, okay, they could really just spend the extra $50,000, you know, and just get some voice acting.
Right.
At least it would add to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise, no, it's still a fun game. It added, you know, it was like playing with the Legos.
And you know what's funny is that people liked the Batman character, the Lego Batman character in the Lego movies so much that it spawned this Lego Batman movie. So they actually put the Lego Movie 2 on hold to make the Lego Batman movie. That's how much people loved the Lego Batman character. You know what I mean? And from what I've heard, I don't know if you've heard this yet, but they're actually going to incorporate Marvel characters in the Lego Bat movie 2. So, and what's important about that is that this will be the first movie, TV show, whatever it is, to actually have both DC and Marvel characters in it. And people don't realize how monumental that really is because those are obviously competing franchises.
So
you know what I mean?
So is this like their take on the Dare program cartoon back in the day of mixing like Warner Brothers and Disney kind
pretty much, yeah. You know what I mean? So it like people like, and I said, it's going to be a monumental thing because it'll be the first and probably only time we'll ever see Captain America chilling with Batman. You know what I mean? In the Flash, you know, kicking it with Quicksilver for all we know. You know what I mean? So people don't really fully understand how important. People don't really fully understand how important like that's gonna be. You know what I mean? And hopefully that's one step closer to maybe ever sometime in the future seeing a Justice League versus Avengers movie. You know what I mean?
I would love to see Batman and Tony Stark.
Have a little dynamic like who's the richer billionaire, like you know what I mean? Who can pull more women? Who has the fancier gadgets?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked for that. So I mean, so let's rate the Lego Batman trailer. What would you rate the Batman trailer?
Ooh, I will give it a solid 4.
Solid 4. You know, I'm gonna completely agree with you. I have to give that a 4 bat bombs as well. All right, now moving on, we're gonna talk about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, this movie created an uproar in all of nerddom. Some completely hated it. Some absolutely loved it. Some are right in the middle. Some want to burn it with fire. Okay, so I'm gonna take it to Ruthless Wolf over here first. What did you think of the Dawn of Justice film?
Dawn of Justice.
Batman v Superman.
Oh, Batman v Superman. It was very
Be honest.
condensed in storyline, so it's like watching, like, they'll give you one piece of story and then they fucking jump into another piece
Right.
of story.
Yeah.
That kind of, that's the only thing that kind of irked me a little bit. But everything was, I mean, everything was alright. Everything was cool.
Well, what did you think about like the things like, the Flash? That was the first time we got to see the new cinematic Flash. That little scene where
Fucking Asian Flash?
he's not Asian.
I don't know.
Where you get Asian from? I know, dude. He's not Asian at all.
Right? I don't like the casting on that, man.
Oh my
You should have
goodness.
got fucking the dude
From the
TV
show, yeah, but it's not what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
What did you think about like the whole post-apocalyptic Flash scene, like right during that time where he kind of flashes to the future and it's like this post-apocalyptic world and whatnot, and
I think they could have just held off on that. I think they're just trying to shoehorn in all that stuff.
the storylines for that. All right, and what about you, Duba? What did you think of the Batman v Superman movie?
Okay. They need to stop giving Zack Snyder the means to make films.
Period?
Well, in the event of comic book movies.
Okay.
He is the Michael Bay of DC films right
I
now.
like
for me.
Michael Bay.
Yeah.
I like Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Transformers? Really? You like Transformers?
Transformers were cool.
I'm an action junkie. I like.
Yeah,
Okay.
they weren't freaking Shakespeare.
Explosions in the interest.
But I'm not a
That's all I need.
Transformers fan, so I'm cool with it.
Okay.
You weren't all butthurt.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is wasn't a big fan of the casting.
Okay.
In particular,
What about Superman? You didn't like Superman?
he's okay.
Henry Cavill? I think that dude looks...
He's not bad.
He has the look of
I think
Superman.
he's the best Superman I've seen.
Yeah, dude, I like him more than
definitely
Christopher Reeves.
He's definitely got the look. He can. I think the writing can be better for him to his character to really be more polished.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't rank Ben Affleck as the top 3 best Batman castings of all time. I don't.
Okay, well, let's touch on that real quick. Who
Sure.
would you rate the top 3?
Top 3.
Cinematic, meaning just movies.
Just movies.
I was
Not animated.
Okay.
No games, TV shows, nothing like that.
Okay,
Just straight up
I
movies.
will give it to Michael Keaton first.
In order. First, okay.
Michael Keaton, number
Thank
1.
you.
For sure. The second one, I probably would give it to, dear God, what's his name?
Christian Bale?
Yes, Christian Bale. And the third, I probably would give it to,
Don't say fucking George Clooney.
no, not George Clooney. No. The guy who hit a one-hit shot.
The other guy, the blonde dude.
Blonde dude, the Saint.
Oh, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, thank you.
Val Kilmer had potential. That's
He
all I
had
gotta
the-
say out
he
there.
did.
That's all I gotta say.
So I would reckon it that way, yes. After that, I would give it to George Clooney, and then and I would probably follow with.
Can you please leave, sir? Please leave. Leave this home.
Well, okay, and let me explain.
No.
I'm not going to say I'm an expert when it comes to Batman and the Batman comic books.
You're seeing it as a consumer, right?
As a consumer, right? My biggest gripe was, this was the most weakest Batman as far as like not having that serious, like I'm not afraid of squat kind of mentality like Christian Bale did and his other predecessors. I mean, literally, he freaked out by hearing his mom's name.
I would disagree in that sense, simply because the opening scene of that movie. In the opening scene, he sees these aliens tearing up an entire city, and everyone else is running away. He's the only one running in. So that shows he's probably the ballsiest Batman that we have. Because he's like, dude, these aliens are melting buildings with their eyes.
Well, what other aliens came out in other Batman movies? I mean,
But that's what I'm saying, though. That shows how ballsier this Batman is going to be. Even with like things like how he punishes the criminals he takes, so he brands them. You know what I mean? That's ballsier than any other Batman we've seen. You know what I mean?
maybe currently, because
Well, I mean, period. Like,
the way the way Michael Keaton and the whole era.
Okay, here's my thing.
It wasn't that way.
people don't understand this, and I'm gonna school people a little bit right here to listen to this. People don't realize how savage Michael Keaton's Batman really was.
Well, he blew up some guy with a bomb.
He blew him up with dynamite sticks, okay? Batman doesn't kill all of a sudden. People think he doesn't kill. Lit another dude on fire. You know what I mean? Like, there's multiple times he's killed people in these films. But nobody can say anything bad about Keaton. But now that it's happening now, everybody's like, Batman doesn't kill. But you love Batman, 89 Batman, you love Batman Returns. He killed like 10 people in those movies. How all of a sudden now you're going to bitch and tell me, Batman doesn't kill, that's not accurate.
Because he was a serious dude that didn't take squat. He didn't go and go, Martha.
He wasn't bitching
Like,
about
yeah,
it.
he wasn't bitching about his mom, dude.
But you know what, though? That is what's inaccurate about the Michael Keaton Batman. He wasn't as emotional as he could have been. Like, the only time they tapped into where him being emotional and kind of moody is there's only that one scene in Batman Returns at the beginning, opening 5 minutes in the movie, where Michael Keaton's just sitting in the dark in his library just like this, like, just thinking about his life. He's like, my life's miserable. And then he sees the bat signal through his window, That's the only time they even tap into him being like that moody Batman in
Well,
those
I would also
films.
say towards the end when he rips his mask off basically to try to calm down Catwoman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's a different aspect of his moodiness. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's more him just being.
But I mean, going back to my analysis of this whole film, I mean, besides the casting part, which besides him, I'm not a fan of Wonder Woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, and I'll get to that when we get talk to the trailers. But I just did. I don't know. I just don't get the vibe. The script in itself was junk. You try to wrap like literally 2 storylines in a matter of a 2-hour film. That just doesn't flow for me.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to catch up to the whole Marvel.
They are exactly, and that to me, it's like, you know what? Don't just take your time. You can catch up and make it even a better film. But they were just trying to catch up.
And you know what? I will totally agree to that because that is the major thing that pissed me off about this movie. I personally love the film, but it seemed rushed like crazy.
Yeah.
Like this dude said, we didn't necessarily need the Flash to be in that movie. It was cool, and I still enjoyed it. I was like, holy crap, that's the Flash, dude. We're seeing the Flash in a movie, even for a few seconds. But we didn't need it right now. You know, they could have just stuck with the dynamic of Batman versus Superman. They didn't even need Wonder Woman in this movie. You know what I mean? They didn't need to tap into the Justice League characters. They could have saved that for something else.
They didn't need Lex Luthor in this film.
Yeah.
And that by far is the worst character in that whole film. I
Okay.
cannot understand.
Now, tackling that, I'm gonna clarify what that is. It's not Lex Luthor. It's Alexander Luthor. So when you hear Lex Luthor, you're thinking of like Superman the animated series Lex Luthor, right? Bald dude, real serious, kind of a smart-ass businessman, evil.
I mean, that's what a lot of people refer. I mean, I have also read a lot of Superman comic books, so I also know the original Luthor wasn't a bald dude. He was actually a red-headed dude.
Yeah.
Very serious, very suave, a lot of emotion. But at the end of the day, it's his way or the highway kind of dude.
Yeah.
I did not know if that was Alexander Luthor.
Well, he even says it in
Does he?
when you kind of first see the character. They're in LexCorp, one of the LexCorp buildings.
Okay.
And they even something like a reporter comes up to them. They're like, "Oh, Lex, sir, how you doing today?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not Lex. That's my father's name on the marquee." So that right there says he's not that Lex Luthor. He's Alexander Luthor.
I don't know. I didn't look into it that far, but I mean,
Yeah.
or horrible.
I know how people are comparing it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Regardless,
I
I mean, horrible character. Just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Honestly, they could have squashed that guy away. They could have squashed the whole alien thing, and Zod thing, and honestly, they could have just done Brainiac.
Yeah.
You see, and I'll disagree with you for this reason. In my opinion, I think Brainiac should be like the final boss for a Superman movie.
Not Apocalypse.
No, for the Justice League, yes. For the Justice League. For a Superman film, I think Brainiac should be his top villain. You know what I mean? Because if you read enough Superman books, you know that dude's like an eater of worlds. You know what I mean? And so I see him as being, even Doomsday is a complete puss compared to Brainiac. All these Mongol, another Superman villain, complete puss compared to Brainiac.
Well, he's more brains and the other guys are more brawn.
You know, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. He's more the type that will take over planets, while all these other guys are just, I'm going to destroy your city.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I mean, push aside. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I didn't mean to say Apocalypse. You're saying even more so than Dorkside? Dorkside is intelligent.
But that's what I'm saying, though. For Justice League, I can see Dorkside being that.
Okay.
But I'm saying just for standalone Superman films.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? If it's just a standalone Superman film, I say Brainiac as being like, he'd be the main villain in like the third Superman film.
I see.
You know what I mean? And you could even tie in that Brainiac storyline to finish off with Dorkside in the Justice League movie.
Right. I mean, if there's plenty of different other characters I could have chosen besides.
Agreed. Oh, what about this? What would you think of this? Because this is my thing I've been bitched about since Lex Luthor was ever a character in movies.
Okay.
Why haven't they done him in his armor yet?
Done who?
Lex Luthor. They should have had him in his kryptonite armor.
Because, well, I mean, at this point, if they were rushing storylines, yeah, they could have. They could have just jumped into him in his armor, and yeah, that would have been pretty good too.
I think that would have been better than this.
Yeah.
Then Zod Doomsday?
I didn't understand the whole dynamic with Zod. Like, okay, like I know you guys haven't seen the DVD version, right? Have you seen the DVD version?
The DVD?
No.
Yeah, the extended cut.
Oh, no.
Okay, now I understand people bitch about the theatrical release because they're 100% accurate in saying whoever edited this thing needs to be fired. They absolutely need to be fired because the extended cut fills in a lot of those plot holes that people were bitching about in the theaters.
Right.
And and at first I was like, yeah, I could kind of see it, but then when I see the extended cut, you're like, holy crap, that makes so much more sense now. So I think if people saw the extended cut in theaters, it would have done better because the movie makes more sense, and they cut over a half hour of footage from the TV, and then in the movie it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like there's like plot points in the DVD that talks about you know, that whole scene where Superman is visiting the Capitol building, kind of ready to plead with the people and whatnot, and then that dude's wheelchair blows up and blows up the whole Capitol, and there's a scene where he's talking to Lois. He's like, I didn't know that bomb was there because I was afraid. I wasn't looking for it, so he was too distracted or whatnot.
Right.
Okay, now that's a theatrical version, but in the extended cut, Lois is doing some investigative work at that guy who was in the wheelchair. His apartment building. She's checking out his apartment building, trying to find some evidence and whatnot, and just doing some exploring and whatnot. So she finds out that his wheelchair was actually lined with lead, so that Superman couldn't see it. So and that explains more that the guy who the wheelchair that blew up, he wasn't in on the whole thing. It was a setup by Lex Luthor to blow that guy up, and the guy didn't even know he was going to get killed. You know what I mean? Because the theatrical release makes it seem like he's the one that blew up the Capitol building.
I don't think
with the help of it.
His assistant didn't even know.
Exactly. She's the agent. Oh, I liked her.
She was like, "Where the fuck is my boss?"
Yeah. So there's things like that they left out of the theatrical version that I really think screwed up a lot of the story. You know what I mean? And that's a shame because I think if you were guys to see the extended cut, you'll understand it a lot better, and the storyline will make a lot more sense. Still not gonna be a perfect movie, but still make a lot more sense. So what did you think of Batman as far as the character goes? Like his fighting style, with the suit, things like that. What did you guys think?
Very violent, killing people, machine gun, driving over with his vehicle.
He's very aggressive.
I liked it. I like the aggressiveness. I'll be honest. Yeah, all the action, awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think it was good. I was gonna wait and see if he was gonna do any kung fu shit, but it was more of a brawler.
Yeah. And I think personally, those were the best fight scenes ever in a Batman film. Mainly because if you guys have ever noticed, with the Batman suits, the way they're constructed in all these films, they're very rubbery, and the actor, can barely move.
Yeah, like
he can't turn his head. He has to be very stiff.
Yeah, just like the Keaton one. His is very.
It was one solid.
Yeah, so he was just. Yeah, had to do certain moves for him to move.
Yeah, he was pretty much all arms.
I call it.
You know what I'm saying?
I call it lumberjack kung fu.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and the same thing with Christian Bale. Christian Bale said on some of the the extra features on one of the DVDs, saying that they had to come up with a specific fighting style for him to allow him to move in that specific suit. So meaning he was limited to what he can do in that suit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He didn't have a lot of freedom until basically the last film when they did the new update to the costume. But by then, even then, it was still limited.
But even then, and then the ending scenes when he fought Bane, it was pretty much just punching. Right. Like they were just boxing each other and body slamming each other. It wasn't really fighting. They're boxing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's one edge that this Batman had over that, because he was like throwing people. He was like shooting his grapnel gun into somebody and pulling them in and knocking them out, slamming a head into a box, sweeping their legs, taking and breaking their arm and making the opponent shoot the other person with their gun and stuff like that, and throwing gas bombs in their face. And if you played the Arkham games, that's what that felt like to me. It felt like I'm seeing a fight in an Arkham game taken a movie, and I think that totally smoked every other Batman fight we've ever seen in the movie. Now the suit, I'm biased to that suit because my all-time favorite suit is the black and gray suit. Black and gray, no oval around the chest, just the big black Batman logo. And the best thing about that suit was it's a throwback to the Dark Knight Returns books by Frank Miller. The big, fat, black, just full chest bat logo,
Muscle,
you know what I mean?
Bodybuilder.
And that's another thing, too, that I liked about the Ben Affleck Batman. That dude was jacked. Jacked. Christian Bale is skinny. He is a puny, puny dude. And if you read the Batman books, you see his workout regimen. You see how just jacked that dude really is. Obviously, you see his scars and whatnot all over his muscles, but you see how really buff Batman is. You know what I mean? Because in the books, obviously, he wears more like spandex type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas Michael Keaton and Bale and all those guys were really just too skinny, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And again, that's why I think this Batman is a little bit better in certain aspects like that. Because he seemed like, you gotta understand, he doesn't have powers. He has to rely on his wits, gadgets, and muscle. And that's what this one, he seemed more legitimate, and like he can F you up. You know what I mean?
Do you think though they could have gotten someone else to do that besides Ben Affleck?
Of course, dude. I'm gonna tell you straight up right now. I can show you old Facebook posts from like 3-4 years ago. I was like, F Ben Affleck. I wanted to shoot somebody in the face.
Who was your preferred actor for?
At the time, I couldn't even tell you.
What about now?
Because in my opinion, no one can be the perfect Batman. I don't know who can be Batman, dude. You know what I mean? Because I think at some point, even if with all the flaws of the Michael Keaton Batman, that's still my favorite Batman. You know what I mean?
If only Kevin Conroy was 30 years younger, about 100 pounds.
No, he's like 58. But and plus he's small. You know, the thing it's like I hated the fact that I hated the idea of Ben Affleck being Batman. I was so pissed. I went on a good solid month rant of like, what the hell is wrong with you, Warner Brothers? Why would you pick Ben Affleck of all people? You know what I mean? I was so pissed off. And I was very hesitant. I remember every so often I'd do a post on my social media, for the love of God, please Jesus, please let Ben Affleck be a decent Batman. Please don't let him screw this up. Please let him, do justice to the character. And I truly believe, because I've read all these things, he's the most accurate Batman to the comic books we've ever gotten. You look at Michael Keaton's Batman, he's his own thing. He pretty much did his own version of Batman. Christian Bale, I think, is probably second to being the most accurate to the books, because he was down to earth, he was more gritty, he was more, just rough around the edges and whatnot, especially when they explored his backstory of how he's training and whatnot. I think he comes second to what the comic books really are.
Well, I mean, as someone who is not a fan of Batman, the way I got introduced was Michael Keaton.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's why he's going to be my favorite.
He's gonna take precedence, right? And that goes for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And I can understand that. I could totally understand that. But like I said, you got to understand, all these things that we see and watch and whatnot, they're all based on these books. They all originate from these books. So that's how I say he's probably the most accurate to not just the suit, but the fighting style, his personality. I will agree, the Martha thing was a little too much. Why you say that name? Your mom's named Martha? My mom's named Martha. We're best friends. Hugs. Like, that was like, I get it, but they did it the completely wrong way.
Yeah.
And I was like, you bastards. Like, I totally get it, because I totally understand, because and things like that have happened in the Batman the Animated Series. Well, you know what I mean?
I still think he has the means to redeem himself. Not that it's necessarily his fault. I think it's just we need better writers of the next film.
Think it's Zack Snyder's fault?
Partially, yes. But we need better writers, because it's just dialogue, it just didn't make sense. Yeah, action, all's that great, but you know what? Nothing that any stunt double in the suit couldn't have done 10 times better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I
agree.
For all we know, there may have been a stunt double, and a lot of it was done by them, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, you want the real meat and bones of the character to understand, who he's about.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it was just rushed. There wasn't a whole lot of content, and then what content we did get, it was just so poorly constructed, and then we get these little, major holes in the storyline that just didn't make any sense. So,
what did you think of the actual fight scene between Batman and Superman?
Man, I'm just waiting for Superman to eye blast him and then be done with it.
Well, he can't necessarily do that with that suit. He would have to aim for the mouth.
I think he just held back too much in the beginning.
Yeah.
He could have just fucked him up.
And that plays on the dynamic of the accuracy of Superman as a character from the book. Because he's still the ultimate good guy. Like, yeah, he will F Batman up. He could, but he won't, because he's such a good guy. And again, that plays to the accuracy of Batman. If you read enough Batman books and Justice League books, you'll know Batman don't trust anybody. Yeah, he's friends with Superman and all these guys, but at the end of the day, he could assume that these guys are going to turn on him and destroy the world. So he's like, he will kill if he has to. And there's a book called the OMAC Project, where he created this whole system to kill the Justice League if they went rogue and try to take over the world. You know
Did
what I
that
mean?
thing go rogue or something?
And then that thing went crazy, and oh man, that's a whole nother dynamic. What do you think of the whole fight scene between Batman and Superman at the end?
Just poorly written. I mean, the action was great.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, just the fighting.
Yeah, the action was great.
The scene.
It just some things just you knew it just didn't make sense because there's kind of like what Wolf was saying.
In the fight scene?
Superman could have finished this off in the first 5 seconds of this fight.
Just ripped his
Be
armor
done
out
with
and
it.
then...
You know, but again,
Well, and see, let me explain to that because again, I've read the books. This fight scene is based on The Dark Knight Returns.
mm-hmm.
Okay, the whole suit is lined with kryptonite. So the second he even gets near Batman, Superman's weakened instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's fully powered right away just being there.
It didn't look like that though in the movie.
Well, but that's where they go into the aspect of playing to the character, because he's such a good guy, he doesn't want to hurt Batman. He could, but as far as story wise goes, he doesn't want to, because he's still let's be honest, Superman is a better man than Batman. You know what I mean?
Morally, I guess.
Exactly, because Batman's kind of a dick, like for real, and Batman is paranoid. He's legit crazy. And people don't, it takes balls to be a normal dude without powers and dress up and fight these dudes with powers. You know what I mean? So it shows the dynamic of who Superman is as a person. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he didn't do those things. Yeah, he could have, but then again, that would deter from the Superman character. Because if he did that, then people would bitch about that. Well, that's what Superman wouldn't do that. Superman wouldn't do that. So that they did it this way because that's what Superman would do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like I said, overall, film. I give it barely 3 bombs.
3 bombs. All right. What about you?
Yeah, I'll give it the same.
3?
Bumps, yeah.
Okay. Since you guys haven't seen the extended cut, I can totally understand. I can totally agree with you guys. I'm gonna go 3.5. Only because of the extended scenes where the movie made more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really liked what they did. Like, and there's so much stuff. I gotta loan you guys the Blu-ray. And you guys totally understand what I'm saying. There's just so much more that added to that film. So, hopefully DC gets on board with it. And we'll talk about Suicide Squad here in a bit. And we'll see how the dynamics have changed. Okay, so moving on. We're going to talk about The Killing Joke. Have you guys read the books at all? Or the book?
No.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the dynamic of the first 20 minutes of the film with Batgirl. What did you guys think of that, opening 20 minutes with her? We'll get to that scene. Just go ahead. What did you think of?
I think it was kind of off
As far as?
the storyline, But dude, Batman, he's a pimp, man.
Just say it. Go ahead and say it.
He's a fucking cradle robber.
Well, she's not a child.
Well, she might as well be.
She's like 25 in this.
And what is Batman, like 40 or something?
Probably about late 30s and early 40s. Yeah, dude. Hey, more power to him, man. You know what I'm saying? What do you think of that first 20 minutes?
Besides the boning scene.
Besides the what?
The boning scene.
Boning scene. Please describe what you mean by boning scene.
Let's see. Batgirl just being a typical lost teenager, basically.
She's not a teenager, though.
Well, she acts like she's a damn teenager.
But
Like
they don't really say her age, though.
Well,
You're only assuming. What
I'm going by the era of the books, and she's in her
same
early
here.
20s.
I read some of the books enough to know where she's at in the age, so she's legal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just this lost teenager mentality that has this weird
a little bit of daddy issues.
She has a lot of sexual aggression.
Apparently so. But I mean, skip that part. Prior to all that, none of it made sense. There was no point to have this whole intro from Batgirl that leads to this obscure, non-relevant mobster guy that wants to kill his uncle, whose uncle who finds out and tries to kill him, and then ends up getting killed by him.
It was like two stories in a movie.
Well, it made no sense.
Okay,
I'll stop there.
Let me take it from there. Now, I personally didn't like that first section. The writing on that to me was dumb. Okay, but I'll disagree with you right there. It was necessary. Okay, and it was necessary, not maybe that specific story that they told with it, but an opening section for Batgirl is absolutely necessary. When you look at the books, this book took place in 1988. Okay, back then, Batgirl was like at the top of her game. Okay, just before she became Oracle. So they had to kind of like reintroduce her importance to Batman in this movie. You know what I mean? Because if they don't really show some relationship dynamic with that character in the film, you're not going to understand how impactful it is when she got shot and paralyzed. You know what I mean? So I think it was an important part. They just went about it a completely wrong way. You know what I mean? They could have done, in my opinion, what they should have done, a more father figure like caring for Batgirl.
No, that would have made it more creepier.
Well, yeah, but with
Don't be a perv.
he's saying without the sex scene. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like what they should have.
Well, was there a sex scene in the book?
No, that's what I'm saying. This
Okay.
has nothing to do with the books. That's what upset me.
Okay, that's fine. That's what
They should have done more. They should have done like more of a mentor type of thing.
Mentor student.
Yeah, like
sex,
you know,
yeah.
I don't want you to get hurt out there. This is why I'm protecting you for doing this. You know what I mean?
Which kind of the vibe I got because he was telling him, you know, you don't know how deep it could go.
Exactly, like
because the villain that she was going after was kind of reminiscent to the Joker.
right.
For Batman.
Okay, now at the beginning of this film, I was so pissed because, and when I first saw the movie, because I saw it in theaters, I thought that character was the Joker, and I was pissed. I was like, no, they did not change the whole background of the backstory of the Joker, and I was already pissed. I was already hating it because of that. You know what I mean? But then you realize it's a completely different side story. Yeah. But like I said, I think it was necessary. It was the wrong story to do that. You know what I mean? And that pissed me off. But what do you think about the rest of the film, though?
For being a rated R movie, I think they didn't deliver the rated R-ness.
Yeah.
I wanted more blood and
Right.
more sex, more boobies, some dicks flying around, man. Come on.
And in the books, there kind of was. There kind of was. I know. Jim Gordon. He was walking around naked for most of the book.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? In the film, they should show that too.
they have the fucking midgets. covering
Yeah,
his ass.
they're like S&M midgets, and oh wow. What would you think of the film, the last part of the film, the actual Killing Joke part of the film?
All that was actually really good. It actually was interesting. Again, did not read the book, but did not understand this whole like build up to this ending that literally
It felt awkward, huh?
I felt awkward and did not make sense. It felt like I was watching it was like a dream that Batman just had. That he just
Like he wakes up in a toilet like, oh shit, what am I doing?
yeah, I was joking. I was laughing with the Joker, and we were hugging it out, kind of deal.
Right.
So you explained to me what the book was supposed to be like, if there was a variation.
Okay. Okay. Now the difference between that's what I didn't like about the very end.
Okay.
Okay, is that they changed it a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit.
Oh god. Okay.
The ending pretty much is that the Joker tells that exact same joke, but all Batman does is smirk. He just smirks. He was like, like he does that, and then Joker's the one like on the floor laughing and rolling and is like cracking himself up. Okay, now what that says is, I think you would understand it more if you read the book, because this story isn't action packed. It's not about action. It's psychological. You know what I mean? And what it's basically saying, and you understand it more if you read the book. It's Batman almost caving in to his own psychosis. Because the whole story is the Joker trying to drive you crazy so you can get on his level. And it signifies that the Batman somewhat gets to his level by laughing at his stupid ass joke. You know what I mean?
And I figured that's probably what it was, or something close to that. But they rushed all that in the last half
I agree with you, yeah.
of the movie, where they could have used that first legit 20-30 minutes
Yeah.
to build all that psychosis.
Right.
So that way you could see that he's really trying to get under your skin, and
Yeah.
he's just trying to come to terms that, okay, either I'm about to freaking lose it and do something I'm going to regret, whatever that might be, whether it's killing the Joker, siding with the Joker, but at least it builds it up to that. Otherwise, the way it was just kind of laid out towards the last end, it just seemed like, oh, I have an issue with the Joker.
Yeah.
I got to do something about the Joker, but then at the end, I'm not really doing anything with the Joker.
Yeah.
I'm going to be emo for a second and just share with you that I have a problem with you. You're under my skin. And, oh, by the way, you told me a joke. Ah, ha, ha, ha.
And see, and that's
Credits.
what pissed me off is that they made him overdo it. He was like, ah, ha, 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 ha. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think I've ever heard Kevin Conroy like you know what I mean? Like in the books, he just smirks.
That
and
was
he-
Bruce Wayne laughing,
Well, yeah, okay, that was him.
basically.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that it went a little too much with it. They could have just left the smirk because at the beginning he smirks and then he goes into the laugh, which was like, you're okay. Now you're doing extra. You didn't need to do all that. But I will say, and Doombot, well, even I think you too. Have you seen most, if not all, of the straight to DVD animated films?
I have,
All of
and
them.
I think those films are better animated and better, story wise. I think
So you're saying this is the worst one for you?
this is the, yeah. If I had to rate them, that would be the lowest one.
Well, like I said, because you're more of an action guy, so you want the more like.
Yeah, even those weren't. They, I don't think they were rated R, and they still
No.
entertained me.
Well, and I can understand why they made it rated R. It's not a rated R to the extent you would think of. You have to understand this is still an animated film. Okay, so when you think of animation, you think of kids. This is not a kid's storyline. So they really only made it rated R to signify this is for adult watchers. Yeah, it's animated, but it's still for adults because Jim Gordon still is walking around naked. You still have midgets walking around in S&M costumes. You still have the Joker crippling, Batgirl. You know what I mean? And then there still is a nod to a sex scene.
But you have to understand though, you can't say you got to take it or see it as a serious film when you lay it out as an animated film.
Right.
I mean, once you go that level, it's hard to take anything very serious or any storyline from an animated film to be serious, unless the whole art style, the writing right off the bat is dark. It's
Right.
serious.
They should have done a Netflix thing going on HBO or something.
Dude, like
with
do you,
live action, and then have the darkness.
do you remember the old
crazy stuff.
do you remember the old Spawn HBO show?
Yeah.
Animated show that was rated R because there was like prostitutes
Yeah.
and actual sex scenes and pimps and whatnot, and yeah, that show was gnarly. But I understand what you're saying. Like when you hear rated R, you think of a certain level of like, dude, this movie's gonna be gnarly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really didn't give me that.
Right.
And the other animated stuff actually gave me more.
Right. I get what you're saying. What about you? What'd you think overall of the film?
I have to say that there's DC film shorts that are better than this film. Yeah, it probably is the worst DC film, which is really surprising because up to this point, DC has done nothing but dominate animated films.
Right. They're
That is
top notch.
Yeah, it's top notch writing, everything.
compared to
And-
what Marvel was dishing out.
Right.
It's better.
and this was just the total opposite. I mean, don't get me wrong, it had some elements that were cool and interesting. The whole killing joke of the origin of the Joker was cool, but it lost me majority of the time, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And what's funny too is that I'll somewhat agree with you guys, because I think what people, especially if you didn't read the book, you're not sure what to expect. So I can understand how it's kind of dull to some people. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of people need to realize how important this book really is to comic books, period. Because before that, we never really saw the dynamics of somebody getting crippled. We never really saw some people playing with someone else's psychosis in a comic book. You know, and we never really saw that type of dark characteristics in a comic book character. You know what I mean? And I'll say this straight up, because and it was funny too. I saw it in the theaters, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. This is from what I remember. So then when I got the Blu-ray, I busted out the actual graphic novel, and I read along the book while I was watching the film, and it was damn near word for word. I legit even somewhat sang along to that song the Joker was singing, because the words were right there in the book in my lap, and I was like, dude, they nailed the F out of the text in this.
Did they have the crazy midgets in the
Yes, they did. It was insane. You know what I mean?
And that's just another element. Again, everything gets translated different in a book because you
Yeah.
can use your imagination.
Right.
You can try to touch the emotion as best as you can, or
Right.
try to read the emotion, that is.
Right.
But that singing part was just like, again, it just threw off the whole like level of building up to the character, and then like you're going into a song.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's the Joker's character, though.
No, I get that, but like you're telling this dark story origin of who he's about, how he got there, and then it's like,
starts
let me
singing.
break into a song
But-
partially, not even fully, like partially.
But think, that's the whole idea of the Joker.
No, I
he
get
doesn't have to necessarily be dark and serious and creepy all the time.
No, I get
He'll
that.
kill you and laugh about it.
I
You
get
know what I
that.
mean?
I get that. Again,
He's-
translation from a book to a film.
Yeah.
Can it be done in a film? Yes. Was it done and executed probably in this film? No.
What he's saying is that part was really not necessary to get the mood.
No.
dark mood,
And,
right?
and not even so much not necessary. I'm sure it was an important element in the book. It just did not translate well in the film.
And you know what? I'm gonna actually. I think I told him this too. Even though it was probably the most accurate animated film we've gotten to the book, it doesn't quite translate to film the way we would hope. You know what I mean? I loved it because it was exactly like the book, with the exception of that first 20 minutes. To me, screwed up the freaking film. You know what I mean? I was like, that's stupid. Why would they do that? Go ahead.
I was just saying, but it did bring me something to think about after watching Suicide Squad, and I can't wait to talk about Suicide Squad
Okay.
because it
We're almost
really
there.
brought an interesting
We're almost there.
question mark.
So, like I said, it's easily the most accurate to a book that we've seen in movies, TV shows, whatever. You know what I mean? Because literally, it's almost word for word. But like I said, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't translate, because when you're reading a comic book that has like some like more that deals with more of your psychosis, you can rest on that thought or on that panel of a comic book and really contemplate it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you give it a chance to soak in, and you're like, that's crazy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
exactly.
But when it's a film, it has to constantly be moving forward,
moving. It's
and so you don't get a chance to process that whatever's going on in that scene and whatnot. You know, so I agree with what he says. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is the most accurate film, but it almost doesn't translate as well as I would hope. Even though I freaking still loved it, because that's just a classic Batman book. You know what I mean? What would you rate the Killing Joke so far? How many bat bombs?
Half.
What is
bomb.
half?
Half
Half
a
a bomb?
Half a bomb.
Damn,
Dang.
that's some.
I
Damn. All right.
I know.
All right. Let's move it over to you with this wolf.
I'll give it 2.5, only because it was channeling the animated series and
Right.
Fox.
Well, all that stuff is from Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm is the one that pretty much did all the work for the Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, and all that.
Yeah.
They call it the Timmverse. It's pretty much all the animated stuff you
Like
see.
I wanted to get like a cereal bowl and start watching. It. It's like,
Dude, because it had Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, the original Batman and Joker. Go ahead.
I only gave you that score, which we'll probably go to this next topic here, probably next or soon. I gave that score only because I followed up watching that after watching Ghostbusters. So,
oh, so you were already in.
So
the
you're already
movie.
pissy. So you're already pissy.
Exactly.
All right, that's pretty funny. All right, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and give it 4 bat bombs. Mainly because I'm more familiar with the books that it's based on and whatnot. But in my opinion, they did screw up a lot with that opening 20 minutes. And then there's little sections of the film where, like I said, that last laughing scene, it just...
I think that's very generous of you. If anything, it would have been 3.
You
Oh,
are sucking on that Batman team.
well,
Yeah.
dude, when you
you
guys...
say it screwed up a lot, but I'm gonna give it a 4.
Well, no, they screwed up a lot on that first thing they did. That first 20 minutes, they screwed out the whole thing. The whole thing.
That's half the film.
Well, that's not
animated
that's not the
movie.
Killing Joke, though.
That's half the film.
That first section is not the
We're
Killing
not
Joke.
talking about the Killing Joke. We're talking about the film as a total, which partook of the Killing Joke.
And if that first 20 minutes was different, I would give it a 5.
Wow.
See, but the
No
same,
bias whatsoever, folks.
Oh.
I've established this plenty. I'm very biased towards Batman stuff.
All
But
right.
again, like I said, I have the dynamic of reading this book 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I have the dynamic of understanding these things, and I get it because I can totally understand you guys' perspective, and I agree with you from your perspective. But you guys don't have my perspective.
You convinced me. I'm gonna give it a bomb.
Is that a mercy? Half another bomb?
Maybe.
That's funny. All right.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Moving on.